All right, while you're waiting, turn to the person on your left and right if you'd like and say, I'm glad you're here. You have a nice smile. And if they're frowning, that'll be really awkward. Glad you're here. You got a nice smile. You too back there. Good to see you. All right. Hey, there I am up there. Here, let me moonwalk back this way. Look, it's like I'm time traveling. Should you see how long it takes to jump? Oh, okay, I was just having fun with that. I have a master's in divinity. I'm too sophisticated for this kind of antics. No, I'm not. Okay, here's Pastor Nathan's reflections from Tanzania. I would say in no particular order, it's 51% in no particular order. And Gabster here is my witness to make sure I'm not embellishing too much. And there's some things that can't be repeated or the bishop's going to hear about it. Not like big trouble, but just like, really, in my synod? Get out of here. No, okay. So, I'm going to start with the end because I want to spend most of the time talking about Mahunga, which is the village, the partner parish that we work with over there. So I'm going to start with, I'm only going to show you one safari picture, okay? And there aren't even any critters in it. But I like this one. We got up in the morning, the big trees, the road, all that. Very beautiful, very cool to see nature, and a little scary when you have leopards and trees and baboons going, like, or whatever their yell was. It's so weird. But like the baboons will have a scout yelling, there's a leopard. Okay, I'm going to go over in time. Okay, so the safari was cool, but that's not what I'm most excited to tell you about. This was Ingangidungu, Red Rock. This wasn't our parish, but we were traveling with friends from, if you thought that was hard for me to say in Swahili, they had a tough time saying Gustavus Adolphus. So it was kind of fair as fair, all right? We're trying to say each other's church names. Red Rocks, and what was really cool for me to think about, not only beautiful, I mean, these are huge, but this part of Africa is really one of they call it the cradle of humanity or civilization. To think that going back eons, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years, you had people around. And I'm going to confess, don't tell the bishop, please. You can if you really feel convicted to. I'll take whatever heat. But I broke a rule while I was in Iringa. We were at a museum, and there was a sign that said, "Do not touch display." And I thought, I am in the cradle of humanity. And if I touch this thing, I will now be connected to people from 300,000 years ago. So I touched one of the stone tools. Do with it as you will. I broke the rules, but I felt like I can't let this opportunity go by to think that 300,000 years ago, people like you and me, just trying to get by. How many of you still just trying to get by, right? I felt this connection to it. I thought, I can't let this moment go without thinking, we're still connected. Still connected. No, actually, Pastor Ruthie, she was in on it. She took the picture, so we're both in on it. It was the perfect grind. This was just a funny picture. That gentleman, the tailor, is standing. So there was a height differential, a little bit. Glad we weren't both wearing green shirts. People would have got us mixed up. So you can laugh at my stuff, okay? I promise. It's okay. So anyhow, I got this sweet jacket, tailored, loved it. Awesome tailor, a friend of Bariki's. And many of you might remember Ruthie and Bariki who are here. Yep, I see heads nodding. Okay, so that is just some of the stuff we did before. All right, if you have not used one of these, no, it's not a horizontal urinal. This is what we call the squatty potty. And for those of you who have been to countries that use these, especially have left the airport and left the city, and been in places where people don't have plumbing. This is a deluxe model, yes? This is the deluxe squatty potty. And there are moments, I'm not going into gross detail, but even when I'm in a American full-size bathroom thinking, I am a flippin' king. I have it so good. I have it so good. I went to Bolivia. It was my first international mission trip. I mean, it was rough. It was as simple as you get. And I remember one of the first things that hit me when I got home, sitting in the half bath at our condo, and I just start crying, thinking, who am I? Who am I to have this much? I'm so blessed. So, that's a squatty potty. I usually don't cry in the toilet, but when I do. Okay. So, this is a deluxe meal in Iringa, and right away I want to eat the local dishes, the local fare. So you see rice, you see beans, you see greens, you see that hot sauce, doggone it. I'm going to have to my mouth is watering talking about this. It's a Tanzanian hot sauce. It's 50 cents American or so for a bottle like that. Oh, put it on everything. Little did I know, that was pretty much what we would eat the whole time. And what was weird, by the time I got home, I'm like, McDonald's, oh. I really loved rice and beans. I still do. Gosh. So that I put up there just because you can learn a lot about a place by the food that's eaten, right? The culture, what's grown, what's eaten. You see down at the bottom, that white stuff, it looks like mashed potatoes. That's actually a corn masa, like a corn flour. Doggone it, my mouth is watering talking about this. That's a plantain. You see some chicken up top there. We'll get to that in a minute. Rice, beans, I think those are maybe carrots or something, maybe potatoes. But that was kind of it. That was the rotation. And I was grateful because, especially in Mahanga, these were people giving of their food and resources. And we got some sort of meat or chicken. I think we got pork one meal, otherwise it was chicken every meal. People don't get that every meal. And we did. So this was hospitality. This was something that was very cool and delicious. Especially, as I mentioned, hot sauce. I earned the nickname, I hope, Pastor Pili Pili. These are, I think they seem like a habanero pepper, if you're into peppers. Gabby, do you want to describe? Because I was eating the peppers, like loaded up my dish, took a big spoonful, and then what happened? Yeah. But that means it's working. If you get just a little sweat, if I can't taste it anymore, it's too much, but just a little sweat, doggone it, mouth watering again, that means it's working. So, yeah. So one of the ways to my heart is with peppers and hot sauce. For as much Swedish blood pumping through my veins. Gosh, I love hot sauce. Okay, speaking of chickens, I did not grow up on a farm. Closest I got was one of those pull strings. The cow says, that's as close as I got to the farm. You mock my pain, Gabby. I will spare the details. We had some challenges. Flights canceled, rescheduled, no sleep, 5 hours in a metal tube, then being told your flight's canceled. There were some challenges. So the first night in the village, we were a little tired. Something I learned was that the TV was on a lot. And I thought, they really like their TV in Tanzania. Not only TV in Tanzania, but they had it to the Christian channel. So we're trying to get to bed that first night. We're like, oh, finally can get some shut-eye. And whatever they're watching was this like Pentecostal big tent revival where they're casting out demons out of people. I can't see this. I can just hear it from the other room. Just screaming. I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, please, I grew up around this. Just make it stop. I just want to go to bed. I did get to sleep. And then at about 4 in the morning, this rascal. So I'm not going to lie, I had unchristlike thoughts about that rooster, and I hope that I ate it one of those meals. That's how I felt about it. I thought, you got what's coming to you, rooster. Okay, as I continue, I'm in line with everybody else for communion. I need the forgiveness just like everybody else, okay? Tanzania is an absolutely beautiful country. That was probably the first photo I took where I thought, wow. Incredible. This is very representative of the area Mahunga is. It's also representative of the challenge getting from point A to point B. I don't think this is too much of an exaggeration. I explain it to people. Imagine a topography made out of Buck Hills, and that's how you got to get places. Those of you who have been there, do I speak the truth? Okay. Gorgeous, beautiful, very challenging. Quartz. It's tough to tell. I'm holding a quartz there, and I'm next to a huge quartz everywhere. I didn't expect this, but it was just all over. Also made a very cheap gift for people, just grabbing some quartz. This one is very special. You can't have it, but you're welcome to take an examination of it and say a prayer for it, because this was given to me by Pastor Wito when we were walking around. He saw that I was collecting these, and he said, "This is a good one." I thought, yeah. And I said, when I see this one, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to think about you and your family and this village and this parish and this country, and I'm going to pray for you when I see this. So if you'd like to, before you leave, say a prayer, I'm going to set it right there. There's Pastor Wito. What you don't know from this photo is that we are sharing earbuds. I heard a lot of Tanzanian music, but I thought, you know what? He might appreciate, just as we're in the country in Tanzania, a little country western music. So he's listening to, this was his favorite, because I remember I got a picture, he started dancing. This is from Vince Gill and Paul Franklin. So he really liked this one. It's a Merle Haggard song, Can't Be Myself. And then we picked it up. He really liked the next one too. Music was a big part of this trip. In part, you don't have to speak the language to feel the music. In worship, in just these songs, and I tried to explain, these are all really sad songs. Basically, all of them are sad about heartbreak. That's the whole genre of the old school country music. The Bakersfield is the name of that album. But as we're walking along the path, it's raining, that we both are humming and moving and grooving together. That was one of my fun moments. So I think about him when either of those songs come on in my headphones, and they come on my headphones a lot. I listen to them. It's tough to tell, but it was wet. But as I told myself, no mud, no Woodstock. You just got to embrace it, enjoy it, let's go. It's part of the experience. Speaking of mud, how do I describe this? 2-lane roads. Minnesota roads are terrible, aren't they? I'm so sick of the Minnesota road. Honey, bless your heart. Bless your heart. We had to dig our way out, get pulled out with tractors, non-stop. In fact, had there not been a local place with the tractor, we would have been in deep trouble. And when all else fails, I didn't ask for your photo permission for this, but you can take motorcycles. You saw way more of these. We were one of the only cars that had been in Mahunga for months, I think they said, or at least weeks. I don't want to exaggerate it too much, but for sure. If you don't have four-wheel drive and off the ground, let's just say there were no Teslas, there were no Honda Accords like mine. You either have a Land Rover or a Land Cruiser or something bigger, you're in trouble. So you could sometimes zip around like this, and I want to take this moment to just say how much I enjoyed traveling with you, learning with you, doing ministry with you, Gabby, and also seeing the ways that God used you during this time. And it's been awesome. So that's a peeky motorcycle. Yeah, it's wild. First ride at 2, yep. I'll tell you, especially a 6'7" man gets on the back of one of those, you learn to pray fervently as you're trying to not fall off or bottom the thing out. So very much enjoyed traveling. Thank you for representing St. John's well, Gabby. Better than I did touching stuff in museums, getting in big trouble, eating hot sauce. Okay. This picture, again, representative of one of the challenges, but what you might not know with the garden hoe there, that's Pastor Wito. And I was especially struck, this is personal for me, representative of who I want to be and how I want to be a pastor and be in ministry. He's wearing his collar. You get out of the truck and you pitch in. You find a way to help out. I try to do that. I want to do that. And I'm reminded of what that looks like. There he is getting muddy with everybody else. And I hope that that's the kind of pastor that I can be. This is another pastor too. We got to be distant relatives. Etonia, was that the I think where his church was, or is nearby. It's where there is a fully built clinic, medical clinic. And we bumped into him, and gosh, his energy, his smile, his color, his pop of flair, I thought, there's these kind of pastors on both sides of the globe, aren't they? So I also appreciated, this is his belt buckle. It's got an eagle and 2 Winchesters or whatever, and I thought, I gotta get a picture of this. Gosh, as what's his face says in Big Lebowski, I like your style, dude. So he had a good flair, good style. Pastors. The guy on the left, he was one of the elders. He doesn't look very happy to be there with us, but that was a 3-hour walk. On the right, Pastor Msingwa, who is our translator. I'll tell you, the highest praise I think I may have ever heard as a pastor. This is like a solid week into being with him. I don't know what I said. I don't know what it was. But he drops his head. He was pretty straight-laced, for those of you who have met him, right? Like, pretty stoic dude. He looks up and he goes, "You are very funny." Am I the funniest ELCA pastor you've ever met? Yes. Yes! Pastor Wito, he insisted on carrying my water bottle. So I said, all right. And we're drinking Coca-Colas because that morning I preached about, I think it was in the Psalms that talked about don't fall for other gods or other things. And I talked about Coca-Cola, always the real thing. I just preached about Coca-Cola for a good 6 minutes. And then we stop, and they come out, pasta, Coca-Cola. And when you've been walking for 3 hours, oh gosh, that's a good Coca-Cola right there. But I look at this, and I think of, there we are collared up. And when there were times that I thought, I'm tired. We had a walk. There's a whiny Nathan that lives inside of my head all the time. And then there's a better angel that's also kind of a tough guy. He says, dude, doesn't matter how long you've been walking. You're going to keep walking for hours. Just get used to it. Just look at these guys. They're collared up. They're not complaining. Dude, come on. Okay. This is all in my head. But again, whether it's he's digging us out of the road, walking for hours, somehow keeping their clothes clean the entire time, I think there's pastors on the other side of the world making no complaint, doing their thing for the sake of the ministry, for the sake of the kingdom. And it's powerful for me. So some of these are kind of personal stories. If they resonate with you, I hope they do, but I thought this would be more kind of personal reflections of what does this mean to me? Because I'm not going to go into all these stories on a Sunday or something. I don't have time. But I want to just share with some of these favorite moments with you here. This is just a picture as we were walking by, just people out playing checkers. And it's like, I don't know if they're bottle caps or whatever, simple. We did not see a lot of this. In part, the phones, they're still on the T9. You remember that? The Nokia days? Most people, that's what they got. But also just community was different. People just hanging out, playing. When's the last time you saw anybody playing checkers? So that was really cool. That was a moment that struck me. Church. People are clapping at St. John's. Oh my goodness. Oh my, buckle up. It was loud, boisterous, joyful. I'm not complaining or saying anything. I love how we worship here. I love the music. I love all those pieces. And by the end, it was like, make it stop. It's like, I don't want, Mommy, tell it to stop. It just kept going. It's very loud. Very loud. But why not? If you're going to get loud for something, why don't you do it at church? Right? If people want to praise God with their lungs, think about the psalmist. Make a joyful noise. The tambourines, the lyre. Boom, let's make some noise. Let's get loud. No PA system. I think there was a single light bulb. And it was one of the best church services I've ever been to. I used to work at a church, multi-million-dollar facility, all the smart lights, fog machines, great sound system, amazing musicians. That's fine, that's great. And this was one of the best services I ever went to. It's the heart. An open heart, prayerful heart, whether you got a giant budget, giant building, medium-sized, or a single light bulb. There's Pastor Wito. What you can't see is kind of like in the front-ish row, right under where he is. Certain people stick out to you on a trip, right? You notice something. And his older daughter, I could kind of see was a pastor's kid because she was there early. She was kind of seeing what's going on. She'd help out with different things. So I could tell. I was kind of keeping an eye on her. I'll come back to her here. Bahati is her name. It means luck. I love that. I love that. In America, we got the kids named Chance, stuff like that. Luck. No Xbox, no gadgets. Very simple. But she found ways to stay entertained, to stay engaged, to stay having fun. And I had brought a guitar from the Lutheran Center, and I tuned it to an open tuning so she could just make a bar and try making a major chords up and down the scale. And she played and played and played. Again, music. You don't have to have the language to experience music together. So this is probably one of my favorite photos on the trip. And just Bahati, good luck charm on the trip. Oh, there's Gabster introducing folks there to the s'more. We brought over stuff to make s'mores. And I'm struck by a memory of a humbling experience. There was another Nathan there. distant relations. There were 4 Nathans, but the one that was in Mahunga, yeah, he ate 4. He was probably, 15, 16 maybe? So he couldn't get enough of them. And it was fun. It's like, yeah, have another one. We got more. And then I remember seeing Bahati. This little bite. But also thinking, the amount of rice and beans we had, there really wasn't a lot of dessert other than maybe fruit, sort of sweet stuff. And just thinking, gosh, what a treat. What a treat. She nibbled on it. You could see it. It's a humbling experience. Humbling experience. I'm not here to rag on the United States. I am here to point out we are so grateful for the abundance that we have. And I hope that it spurs us not to feel guilty, not to feel bad about what we have, but to spur us to action, to be generous too, to find ways. How do I share what God's given us, both in my house, in our city, in our state, and as a country? Can we together find a way to share this abundance to bless other people? Remember what God says to Abraham, I've blessed you to be a blessing to all nations. If we take that seriously, every nation especially if you want to call yourself a Christian nation, start there. Show it with your actions and words. Let's do it together. And the church can lead the way. And that's one of the things I love about St. John's is we really do that too. Food shelf, clothes drives, places we open door we try to give to. It's tough to see, but I was struck and I took a picture of it in the moment. It's just this weird moment. I talk about my Grandpa John a lot, and that was his backpack. And all of a sudden I thought, he would have been such a great globetrotter, world traveler. He did get to go to Germany once or twice. He had an aunt that lives there. But that backpack has been to all sorts of places now with me. And it's almost like, you talk about the cloud of witnesses or whatever, there's Grandpa with me, Grandpa John. And then I worked that into the sermon. For those of you who are here for my You Have a Backpack sermon, that's when it clicked, and I kind of went off script, and I incorporated that into the scripture of the day, saying, you have in this backpack faith. You have stuff that can't be taken away. It's with you. God's given it to you. Use it. Enjoy it. Love it. Share it. And then it was that night that, as I mentioned, if you heard that sermon too, a very troubling text message. It really rattled me, really bothered me. And some of the folks there, I asked, would you pray for me? Pray for me in Swahili. I don't even need to know what you're praying. But here's what's going on, and here's why I'd love your prayers. It's a very raw moment. And then after that, Pastor Msingwa, Pastor, I want to remind you, you have a backpack. And he used my own sermon against me. I was ready to keep feeling sorry for myself. He interrupted my pity party. You have a backpack. And I thought, it's true. You need that sometimes, don't you? You need people that tell you what you don't want to hear sometimes. I need it. I got to preach stuff I don't want to hear. Usually it's to myself, and you're all invited to listen along. So that night, I think I just kind of shuffled outside, started playing music on the guitar. Classical guitar, that means you are obliged, or they would have revoked my passport to play some Willie Nelson on the classical guitar. So as the sun's setting, in the twilight glow I see her. Start playing Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, play some country stuff. And then we started hitting Tanzania mode. And the drums start coming out. Boom, boom, boom. People wearing bells clanging. Boom, 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 boom. And just, you go for it. When was it going to end? No idea. We just kept going. Sometimes we'd sing, but by the end, it's just a jam fest. And again, I went from feeling really angry and bothered and sorry for myself, and why am I here, and why does this have to happen? I'm literally on a mountaintop, and I get this message that just, bugged me. Fast forward an hour later, Very healing. Very healing. When we arrived, this is people leaving, but the scene was very similar. And when we arrived, there was a funeral taking place. You can imagine there's not a whole lot of funeral homes, mortuaries, morgues. So when someone dies, it's within 24 hours, typically, that there'd be a burial. So we get there, and we were invited as soon as we got something to eat, beans and rice. We went and walked to this funeral. And this is as people had dispersed. I didn't want to be National Geographic taking photos during a service like this. But when it wound down, that's a grave. And a dearly beloved, dearly departed, we get there, there's family on the mound weeping. Weeping. Tears are in that dirt. It's just a wooden marker, and it struck me the name was in a ballpoint pen. It's different. It's different. And these are the people that are our siblings in Christ. These are the people that we get the honor of partnering with, and not just, let's help them out. No, let's learn from them. Because there's a humility, and there's a steadfastness and a strength to their faith that, at least for me, I needed. I need it. I learned from them. So this was kind of finishing up the funeral. Oh, there's Selma. Jim, you got cut off. I'm sorry. Bottom left. What's in Monsters, Inc.? I was in a magazine. There's your arm. Your arm's there, Jim. Again, humbling moments. Other side of the world, this tiny village. And there's pictures of us at St. John's. They're praying for us. We were in this big night. We got a lot more than one light bulb. They're praying for us. They're asking for God's blessing for us consistently. Our pictures are on their walls, and we got pictures of them here too. But again, humbling experience. I can't explain it all, but I think you get it. I hope you get how that could be an experience like, wow. This was one of the preaching points. I'll do my best to explain this. So there's the church where the pastor sort of lives in that area. The pastor will try to once a month visit a preaching point because similar to our denomination, the ELCA, ordained clergy are the ones who can administer the sacraments, baptisms, and communions. So in all intents and purposes, it functions like a church, but they don't have the sacraments. So when the pastor's there or someone's visiting, it's a big deal because now they can have the sacraments together. We have it every week here. And a lot of people, that's one of the reasons they really love that tradition. So this is a preaching point that's being built, but it's not being built in any old way. They decided, after they had done some cinder block sort of stuff, we got rocks. We got a riverbed on this side of the hill. Buck Hill. And on the other side, there's sand. And this guy, he could tear a phone book in half. I'll tell you, this dude was just like, age was not stopping this guy. There's one of those gurneys. Imagine people going to the bottom of Buck Hill, or equivalent. And this looks like a good one. Putting it on there, carrying it up. Stone by stone. Bringing up the stones and sand so they can mix it to make cement. In 5-gallon buckets on people's heads. One bucket at a time, one stone at a time. I don't complain about budgets very often. Their needs were rebar and cement mix. We'll do the other stuff. That's a church that's unified too, right? It's not a comparison thing, but again, it's a humbling experience to see on the other side of the world what church looks like, what church acts like. And I told a story, and hopefully this meant something to them there. It might mean something to you too. There's a story of the 3 bricklayers, or stone layers in this case. A guy walks by, sees this first bricklayer, says, "What you doing?" "What's it look like?" "I'm putting a wall together. I'm building a wall." Walks up to the next bricklayer. "What are you doing?" "We're building a church or something." Walks up to the third bricklayer. "What are you doing?" "We're building a sanctuary for God where people can gather and worship God together and be the church together." 3 people, exact same job. It's our perspective. It's our perspective. And I thought of that story when I saw rock by rock, stone by stone, they're bringing stuff up to do this. There's other signs of cool stuff happening. Especially right now, if you read about the recent elections, there's some rough stuff happening in Tanzania. And yet, there's signs of hope and for hope. This was a nearby place we sort of stumbled into, but the tractor that rescued us many times was from this place. It's a forestry where they are working with locals with this goal of reforesting whole sections, whole swaths of Tanzania. In part, they'll find a place that has an abandoned farm or something to say, "Hey, here's the saplings so you can start building sustainable forest stuff. Hey, if you bring us these native seeds, we'll pay you for them. You collect them, we'll pay you for seeds so we can cap this nursery." Really cool. And it was an American who kind of started this venture, son of an Episcopal bishop. Or no, his grandfather was, down in Tennessee. So I don't know if that had part of in his DNA, that wanting to serve and care for creation, but that was a cool thing. And talking about being there first in the 80s, starting this project, continuing to try to invest something in this community. Speaking of which, here's an example. These are trees that Jim and Selma planted. How many years ago would that have been? 2011. And it just seemed like such a cool picture of what we're trying to do by partnering with, by sowing seeds, whether it's with dollars in the plate, whether it's with prayers, whether it's with visits, encouragement, letters our kids write, kids we try to help sponsor to give them a chance with secondary school. But think about that, planting and nurturing so something can grow. It's really cool to see those. And some of you have literally had a hand in, like I said, it's Buck Hills, nothing's flat. Leveling up the top of this hill to put the foundation down and get the walls in for what is to be a medical clinic. Now, it's stalled out for lots of different reasons. And what you're going to hear about during Advent. So stay tuned next week, because you'll formally get invited to participate in this. We're really close to unlocking the next phase of this, which is sat there. I mean, you can see the walls, the elements are on that cinder block. The walls need to be coated and plastered and covered. There's an I-beam, a wooden beam that needs to go on top of all that so that a roof can get put up there. And now it's starting to look like a medical clinic. Can you imagine? Just for a regular checkup, walking currently 6 to 10 miles up and down Buck Hills. Now imagine if you're sick. Imagine being pregnant, and being carried by 6 people, and it's raining. I'm going to try to get a real-life video clip of that. There's real challenges. There's real challenges. And there's real opportunities. There's reason for hope. My hope is that we can invite not just us at St. John's, But say to St. John's, if you know people, this isn't a Christian medical clinic. I mean, there's Christians running it. But this is for anybody in that community. I want to say it's like 1,700 people they think it would serve that are currently walking extra miles just to get basic medical care. It's not a hospital. It's a place where if you're sick, you can stay for 24 hours, and if you're still sick, then you need to get transported to a hospital. But think about this. Preventative care, vaccinations, family planning information, prenatal care. You put that off, you don't know what you're putting off. And things can get really complicated the longer you go without that. So we are very excited to invite the congregation into making a tangible difference for our friends on the other side of the globe. I was so honored to get to go there and face-to-face touch the land and walk alongside. And as much as I could, I tried to walk wherever they were walking. If you got to walk, then I'm going to walk. It was a lot. And there's lots of reasons for hope. The church keeps growing. The church keeps growing. People are finding hope there. And if we can continue to make this look like this is the closest clinic that's finished, it can make a real difference. So that's my hope, is that as we unroll this during Advent. Did you know there's some pregnancy stories we talk about during Advent? There's a connection we're trying to make, right? We have a really good opportunity to make a difference, not just for a church, but for just people we will never meet, most of us, in their lives. There's a picture before we left Mahunga. Many of you have taken pictures there. It was a humbling experience. It was very meaningful, and at the risk of sounding prideful, whatever that means, I'm really proud of St. John's. I showed up late to the party. You've been investing faithfully and consistently for over 20 years. So it was really cool to hear the stories, to see the gratefulness, and to imagine the possibilities, to see the generosity of this congregation. We had so much toothpaste and dental stuff. We took what we could. But if that's any indicator of the readiness for people to pitch in however they can, if you're doing it out of guilt, or if you're doing it out of like, I feel bad or I feel pressured, But if you're feeling like, you know what, I think God's calling me to do what I can, listen to that, and let's see what we can do together as St. John's. Or if you know someone who say, hey, you're churchy, or hey, I know you're not churchy, but this was what my church is doing to try to help some people on the other side of the world. And yes, we're not going to forget about the struggles in the United States and in our community here in Lakeville. We're not going to, forget one to not do the other. And yet, it's a humbling and important thing to also remember that it's not just our own needs. There's other people with needs and that we can help meet. So that are all my pictures. I'm in the miracle business. I got 1 minute to spare. I was like, Natty boy, you don't know how you're going to finish this in time. You got too many stories. But any questions before we break? And I'd love to say a prayer for our friends in Mahunga before we split up. Any questions? It's a tricky number. And when we were there, sometimes extra people came in from their preaching point. What would you say, Gabster? Maybe even a couple hundred total. Yeah. The one with the river rocks, though, yeah. Yeah. And the churches... Yeah, and churches serve maybe as, hopefully people still think of churches as serving a community function, but especially like this is a place for people in the community to get help with different things. So with that, go ahead, Lowell. Yeah, very similar. So it's just like there's the St. Paul Area Synod. Our partner is the Oringa Diocese, and there's a lot of Lutheran heritage and similarities, some distinctions, both in worship and theology, but not enough that we don't work together so much. It actually came out of so many international Luther seminary students from Tanzania that actually sparked that connection that I learned recently, which was cool to hear. So it's like, hey, if you're going back to Tanzania, maybe we'll come back with you. And that built this partnership. So we have a book that I suppose, would we be able to borrow that if somebody wanted to take a look at it? Yep, at the Raise Right table if you want to learn a little bit more.
At the church service?
Yes.
The church was packed.
Yeah.
And were some of the people standing in the window?
Or outside.
In the window watching?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes,
very cool. Like I said, the church is growing, and that's a small church. They're also trying to finish a larger building. But they've said the pastor and all the evangelists, so like the not quite pastors, you know what I mean? Not ordained, but they're the pastors of that area, those preaching points. They got together and sat for a few hours one of the nights and came back with their list. They said, here's the first thing on the list is finishing that clinic. Here's a bunch of other things, rebar, cement mix. Wouldn't take us a lot to do that, but they said, we don't want to do anything else until we finish this clinic. Some of those are a lot cheaper than the other. But you know what? I've felt it of like, then that's what we're going to do. I don't know if we'll be able to cover the whole thing, but we won't know if we don't ask and we don't see what we can do. So with that, I want to open it up. Google it first. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So we'd love to tell you more. You're going to hear more. In the meantime, well, I'm going to pray so we can break. And let me know if you have any questions. But thanks for coming to this to hear more about what we're doing. Gracious God, we take a moment right now, to think of our siblings in you, Christ, in Mahanga, in Tanzania, in Oringa, and the area there. We thank you for our partnership, bega qua bega, shoulder to shoulder. We get to walk through life and faith and serving this world you love together. We're excited for the future, and we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks, everybody.